Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons. Line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Divine gave you a voice, come speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar, it's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? The Line for Line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
Welcome back to another very special episode of Line for Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. Today, we have a very special guest in the building today. We have Mrs. Kristen Marie in the building. Kristen, how are you feeling today?
I'm great. How are you? I'm
actually doing pretty good on a Saturday. We were dealing with a nice stint of nice weather. They said that it's supposed to snow, but I'm hoping that the snow just bypasses us and we keep the nice weather. As we get ready to get started with Line for Line podcast, we like to do the most cliche thing ever. We like the guests to tell the world just a little bit about them, who they are, their profession, things of that nature. The floor is now yours, ma'am.
Okay. Hi. I'm really excited to be here. I work in tech support full-time. I have 3 kids. I also teach group fitness on the side at 3 different locations, sometimes 4. Also sometimes slide in some bartending. So I'm pretty busy as far as work goes. But life-wise, anything outside. I don't really like the bone-chilling cold weather, but anything else I will pretty much do, snow tubing, boating, skiing, any of the things outside, hiking. So that's what we all like to do for fun.
Of course. Now, a lot of people at home, myself included, we want to know, what made you first pursue fitness?
So I got a part-time job at Gold's Gym in Gurnee in 2006.
2006?
Yeah, I was in high school and still have a lot of the same friends from there. My aunt and uncle are big at that gym still. It's now Fit Nation in Gurnee. But since moving up to Kenosha, I don't really go there as often, but got into fitness way back then and got into martial arts of all things. So I have my black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that black belt, I had to instruct classes to be able to show that I was able to teach what I know, to be able to get that black belt. And right from that moment in 2008, 2009, I was like, yeah, I have to do this. So I love changing lives and making a difference and making an impact, even if that means, you don't want to do martial arts and you want to take a walk instead, but always keeping some movement going.
Of course. Now I know you said you work at 3 different locations. Can you tell us a little bit about the locations, where they're at, which ones you work at?
Yes. Recplex is the one I started around COVID time when I moved up here to Kenosha. It was closer to home, and weirdly I was hired, and then we got shut down, and I only did online classes through the camera. And I was also at the time doing the same through Fit Nation, which was kind of a crazy world, so I'm happy to be out of that. But Recplex, I am on the sub list right now, but I have done body combat and body pump there, which are Les Mills programs, and those are the second after Taekwondo that I got certified in, and then started working at Santosha about 5 years ago in Pleasant Prairie. Okay. And I love every minute of it, the community, all of our fellow instructors that we can kind of support each other. And at a yoga studio, I teach Pilates and strength-based classes and did not even have my yoga certification when I started working there. So since my last 2 pregnancies, I kind of needed yoga because I wasn't able to do a lot of the other things and the heat and humidity and all of that. So I ended up getting my yoga certification and just recently got my personal training, nutrition, strength and conditioning, HIIT training, and group fitness to work at Vasa in Racine. So that is the 3rd or 4th mention there. And I'm teaching body pump there, Les Mills, body combat we have there as well. I teach yoga there. I teach studio lift, which is a strength training, and sub in and out core and conditioning, really any kind of class that we have for group fitness.
Now, when it comes to beginners around weightlifting, how do you help beginners overcome the intimidation factor when it comes to lifting and being around weights?
Hard thing to do for a lot of my friends, like, oh yeah, I want to join your class, and then when it comes down to it, it's like, oh, that intimidation factor is huge for a lot of people. This lift class that I started doing with Vasa, I think really helps because you have a personal training coach and there's about 16 of you in the room if it's full. You're working with a partner. You're able to get the personal training without the one-on-one thing because that can be intimidating. And the rest in between and breaking down each movement. I guess the same thing in group fitness, starting with the lighter weights and just kind of explaining throughout the class what you're doing and making sure everyone feels comfortable with what they're doing. Offering modifications is another hard thing to remember, but I try to be mindful of that. And I mentioned my last 2 pregnancies with the boys. I had to modify a whole lot, so I feel like that helped me in my coaching, just because I know what it feels like to be like, I can't do that, and it feels very defeating.
Of course. Now, what benefits would you say Pilates offers that traditional strength training may not offer?
Definitely core strength. We need our core for even just walking down, the street or whatever. But getting everything a little bit stronger as far as the hips and the core and being able to link your breath to it and work a little bit deeper into those muscles. Actually, it helps to be able to lift a little bit better because you're able to be a little bit more flexible and notice that your core is a little bit stronger.
Of course. Now, for those listeners at home, how would you describe your coaching style?
That is a good one. I have a lot of different versions of me. I guess you would say it kind of depends on the class. So with Pilates, we kind of warm up and we do a little bit of stretching, a little bit of breath work, and then we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of mostly hips and core is what I like to focus on, and glutes. So when we amp up to the middle of that class, it's, really, I'm encouraging everyone to do their best and keep going. And then towards the end, kind of leave them with like a resting pose of some type and maybe something motivational at the end that they did it. And I'm really proud of them and hopefully, see them next time. So I guess I have a lot of different coaching techniques within one class.
Of course. Now, what would you say some of your personal goals are when it comes to your fitness and your personal growth and journey?
That has changed so much over the years. I thought that I wanted to do something and then I just do it and then I go on to the next thing. I feel like I switch all the time. Personal goals right now is getting a little bit more into that cardio button. I do a lot of strength training. I love lifting heavy, but adding in a little bit more of the cardio and a little bit more of the mindful practice of yoga or stretching of some type definitely helps propel all the rest of my workouts.
Of course. Can you just tell us a little about some of the examples that you may have faced in your life when you have to overcome obstacles and maybe even being in your head when it comes to your fitness, your goals, and your journey? Yeah.
A great example is I have 2 small boys and a 12-year-old daughter, so sometimes, they get sick and you're supposed to or want to be doing something and you plan all this stuff for your workout or your class or whatever, and they get sick and, you can't go. So being able to adapt or modify and either do things at home or just tell yourself it's okay to work on it tomorrow or whatever, and then noting that your body has bad days. Like, you're not always going to have a PR day and you're not always going to crush it. Just being mindful of what your body feels and going with that.
Of course. What would be that piece of advice that you would give your clients when they're struggling to push past mental barriers?
Getting a support system around them of people who can help get kind of past that, or someone who's basically a cheerleader to them. I know that's helpful for me, so that's what I try to do to different friends of mine and other people and other clients that I have. So just having a goal, sticking to it, and then being okay with the fact that maybe it didn't happen today, but it will happen in the future, and maybe these are the different steps and we have to adjust to get there.
Of course. Now, what would you say confidence through fitness looks like?
Confidence through fitness to me is consistency, like staying after it. I would say in the last 20 years, I don't take too many days off. Like I have a different way of working out. Maybe in the summertime, I like to be outside a little bit more, but it's always doing something and just holding that consistency, because coming back after injuries or whatever is a little bit, easier to bounce back from, to just stay moving, even if that means just walking.
Of course. Now, what would you say has been the most rewarding fitness transformation that you've witnessed?
I am newer to teaching yoga, and within the last, I think, year, I've had this flow class. I had a lot of people who were like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do flow, I want to just stretch. I mean, everybody's idea of yoga is so different, whether you want an athletic yoga or you want a stretching or whatever it is. But I have this one girl who has given everything every single time and been there almost every single week for a whole year. And she's got some medical concerns and balance challenges and all this. And she's finally able to try these different poses that she wasn't able to do a year ago just by keeping that consistency. So it's not always about the scale. It's not always about how you look, but it's about how you feel while you're performing what you're doing.
Of course, of course. Now, how would you give an example, or how would you help guide people? The image of body dysmorphia, and just having that thought of, oh, I don't like where my body is at currently.
I would say that's a really hard one. And I would say I'm pretty hard on myself as well. So trying to just be comfortable with what you're doing and stick with it. I don't know. That's a tough one. I know.
It's okay. It's okay. It's your first time podcast. But what would you say is the biggest myth about strength training that you may have heard?
There's so many. That you have to eat so much protein in a day to be able to train, or taking pre-workout or whatever supplements that it may or may not be that you have to take to be able to do this. I'm huge on nutrition and feeding my body and fueling my body with the different vitamins and stuff that we need through our food. And while I do sometimes supplement different things and take pre-workout or energy drinks, not everyone needs to do that. You just kind of have to meet your body where it is. Protein is definitely important to be able to rebuild those muscles that you're breaking down with strength training. But if you're not over here, like the Hulk, I don't think we have to be, as much as sometimes we say or promote that it needs to be.
Of course, of course. Now, before we get ready to close out this amazing episode, what will be that one lasting piece of advice that you will want to leave to the world when it comes to Kristen Marie and what she was able to provide through fitness, Pilates, yoga, things of that nature?
Just showing up for yourself, being there for each other, whether you're in a class or the people around you, and just keeping your body moving no matter what capacity that may or may not be.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first on Line for Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker, and that has been Mrs. Kristen Marie. Kristen, thank you for having some time for us, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm